All right, welcome back in. It's Mill Ave Moguls, Ep.2. We're going to recap Week 1's against the spread picks, see how we did, and then we are going to break down Week 2 of the NFL slate. Let's waste no time. Let's jump right in.
Turned out to be a rough Week 1 for some of us. It was not great.
I was 8-7-1 in my picks.
For those keeping score at home, I went 5-10-1. I'll go ahead and say that there was an asterisk there because I did claim that I was going to bet the Giants against the Cowboys, and in putting in my picks, I actually bet the Cowboys.
But you backed out. So you pussyfooted around.
So we're going to call that a win. We're going in at 5-10-1 into Week 2. And you know what? This is a big revenge week for me, I think. I think that was kind of my preseason tune-up. I'm not used to playing the preseason, so Week 1's my tune-up, and here we are.
There we go. That's just like every NFL player. But what stood out to you as some of the games? I mean, the Rams pushed on the Panthers for us. We had them at -3.
That was a tough push.
It was a tough push because the Panthers basically got a backdoor push, and Greg missed a field goal.
It was the easiest win. It was the easiest cover in the world for the Rams, and they just didn't do it. Eagles, they really fucked me up there.
Oh, no. I was all over the Redskins. 8.5. Just too many.
I mean, Case Keenum tore it up with this wide receiver who I'd never even heard of, and, I guess that's what you get. It's what you get for taking the Eagles.
Fantasy pickup of the week, Terry McLaren.
Thank you. I didn't know his name.
If Haskins ever comes in, just remember that he was his college teammate. So
big connection there.
You can really drop a lot of fab on that.
Once Haskins comes in, I'll be on the Redskins bandwagon. But as long as Keenum's taking the snaps, I will fade them every single week.
This was a tough one. The Jets against the Bills. Somehow the Bills squeaked this one out.
Turned out to be a good game. Turned out to be an exciting game.
It out. I thought I had this one locked up after 3 quarters. Wasn't meant to be, I guess. But my one that I felt most confident is the Bengals, actually. All week long, 9.5 points. Seattle wants to pound the rock. They want to run the ball. That's just going to kill the time, keep the game close. 9.5 was way too many points. That was easy. Bengals almost won.
Bengals almost they did almost win. There's a few looking back that I'm just like, why did I do that? In the moment, I definitely should have known. I don't think I'm going to take the Bears again for the rest of the season, solely for the fact that I'm just not going to bet on my team.
You're fading the Bears.
Yes.
Welcome to the train of fading your team,
and not for a lack of confidence. Let me make that very clear. They are contenders. Some would say favorites, but I'm gonna have to fade them.
All right. Outside that, Week 1 is in the books. We don't need to keep going over it. Beat a dead horse. Let's jump straight in to Week 2. We're gonna give you all the picks you need to know. Listen to me. I'll give you the winners.
Week 1's done. We're not looking back.
You listen to Leiden, you're going to get some losers. If we agree, lock it in, double your bet, do what you need to do. Thursday night, we got the Tampa Bay Bucks visiting the Carolina Panthers. Spread on this is the Panthers favored by 7.
Here's what I think happened is both these teams played like dog shit in Week 1. But I think one of them is better than how they played. And I think that's the Carolina Panthers. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are awful, and they're going to be bad. I think the Panthers, they played pretty much as bad as they can. They got Christian, Cam Newton. He fucking sucked. But you know what? He, at the same time, is a physical specimen.
Christian Cam Newton? Are you mixing guys or
no? Christian is solid. He's my boy, and Cam, he's gonna rebound. So I'm in on the Panthers here.
So you're in on the Panthers at
-7.
Winning by 7.
Mm-hmm.
Tough beat for the Bucks. I was on the Bucks last week. It, wasn't great. San Francisco's defense actually looked a lot better than I thought it was going to look.
Okay, see, here's the thing. I think that Tampa Bay's offense made The 49ers
I was
defense
just about
looked
to
good.
get there, but mostly because Jameis just likes to turn the rock over way too much. But with that being said, I am in on the Bucs +7. I think it's a short week for the Panthers. They got to fly all the way back across the country from LA, playing an afternoon game. Tampa Bay, it's not that far of a travel. I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference for them.
Hurricane Dorian.
And
anything could happen.
I just think that the Bucs are going to be better in week 2 than they were in week 1. So I just think Jameis is, it's a division game. I think it'll be close, smash mouth football. Call me crazy, but I got the Bucs +7.
You believe in Arians?
I do believe in Arians, and you'll see that. Eventually, the Bucs will lose me a lot of money probably, but I will keep going back to the well as long, until BA retires again.
All right, book
Love
it.
the man. Jumping into the Sunday morning slate, number 1 game, we got the Chargers favored by 3 on the road at the Lions. Give me your thoughts.
Chargers favored by 3 on the road at the Lions. Again, I think that the Lions-Cardinals game kind of got a lot of attention for a few different reasons. And I think that because of the talent of the two teams, the Lions looked a lot better than they are. And the Chargers they have an electric offense. With or without Gordon, I'm going Chargers -3, and I don't think it's going to be close.
I am also going Chargers -3. Plain and simple, Chargers are a better football team than the Lions. I think that the Chargers kind of got a semi-wake-up call against the Colts with Brissett. They might have overlooked them. They're going to come out firing on all cylinders. They're going to cover, smash the Chargers. Game 2, we got the Indianapolis Colts visiting the Titans. Titans are favored by 3, coming off a huge upset, which we didn't even talk about in the recap, but we should talk about it now. The Browns look like trash. The Titans absolutely annihilated them.
It's one of those things. This is the game that everyone should have seen coming. And I mean, looking back, it's easy to say that now. But if you told me, if someone came from the future pre-week 1 and told me the Browns are going to shit the bed, I'd be like, you know what? You're right, 100%. It makes sense.
Yeah, they remind me a lot of the Raiders in a sense of how the Raiders have kind of melted down. But they've crystallized that meltdown and they've, turned it into, a positive thing for their team. But they're Browns
the same
could
team
easily, they're sitting on, the edge of a blade. One thing tips them over and they're terrible. One of the things that I don't like about the Browns, even though we're not talking about the Browns, is that their offensive line is terrible. And it just led to a massive upset. When it rained, it poured. Titans poured it on. Which is why it's giving me great faith that I'm taking the Titans at home -3 this week.
See, I'm going to go the opposite way. Colts +3. I'm a Brissett believer. I think he's going to find a way. They might not win, but they're going to lose by less than 3.
Hashtag Brissett believer.
Vinatieri, he wasn't his best, but he's going to bounce back. He's a pro's pro. He's a vet.
The Titans, to me, feel like a team that's going to kind of get out to a hot start. Everyone's overlooked them. The Titans, Mariota's no good. He's finally got a security blanket back in Delaney Walker. They're going to go 3-0, 3-1 in the first 4 games. They're going to, be in playoff contention, say 7-4, and then boom, 7-9. Here it comes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of feeling I get from the Titans. Like, they're riding a fine line of a couple more injuries, and they're down. Their season's down the drain.
Vrabel's mustache is
for now,
awesome. So
hot start Titans. I'm believing. I'm buying the juice. Give me them all day. -3. Next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars visiting the Houston Texans. The Texans are favored by 9 points.
9 is a lot. 9 is a lot. They are at home, but they got this guy. Minshew, I don't know if you ever heard of him. It's going to be hard as long as he's behind.
The Texans are at home.
As long as he's under center, it's going to be hard for me to bet against the Jaguars. And that +9, I mean, I'm just licking my chops. I'm taking that all day.
You're taking the +9 for the Jaguars?
Absolutely.
Yeah, same here.
Okay.
You said it very confusingly because you said at home, but they got a guy named Minshew.
Uh-huh.
Those are 2 different teams.
This is something that, I mean, I'll try my best to get better at, but for the listeners out there, it might be best just to look at the recap when listening to my picks. For that reason, I'm going Jacksonville Jaguars. He's 23. I mean, he did just get out of college.
I am going Jags as well, +9. I think the Texans will win this game. I think this is
I think so too.
Fairly high up survivor lock for some people. But I think the Jags are just going to try to run the ball, slow the game down. And when you do that when you play that style of football, it typically leads to a little bit less scoring. And I could just see them, divisional game kind of keeping it close.
I think Jacksonville's defense is, they did just give up 40. It was to the Chiefs. But I think that something tells me they're still good. And they've shown me every reason to believe that they're not. But, I just cannot stay away from the Jaguars.
Is
I have an
Gardner
addiction.
Minshew an upgrade over Nick Foles?
People are asking.
He looked good.
People are asking.
He looked good.
I need more film.
Produced. The problem was the game script wasn't in their favor. They got behind the Chiefs, which, guess what? Newsflash, everybody gets behind when they're playing the Chiefs. They only limited Fournette to 16 carries, 16 total rush attempts for the entire team. I just think a bounce back is coming in week 2 for the Jags. Not in terms of win, but in terms of play and losing deficit. But, yeah, just too big of a spread for me, personally. Next up, we got the 49ers visiting the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals are favored by 1.5 at home.
This was the toughest game for me, I think.
Really?
This whole slate, yep. With that being said, I like the Bengals. I'm taking the Bengals. This is like one of the 4 home teams that I picked, and I'm going with them. Initially,
I was in on the 49ers. When I first looked at everything, I was going through kind of doing my initial, I'm picking this team, picking that team. I was in on the 49ers. I circled it, came back to it, and I said, I think that 49ers defense, like you said, is kind of a product of Jameis Winston being turnover prone.
There's a
and
tier.
They got to travel from San Francisco to Cincinnati to play a morning game that never goes well for West Coast teams. 1.5, give me the Bengals.
There's a tier of quarterbacks that, I think are just absolute dog shit. I'm going to throw Winston in there. I'm going to throw Marcus Mariota in there. And I'm going to throw Jimmy G in there. So, yeah. Give me the Bengals.
Where does Dalton rank? Above the dog shit or below the dog shit?
He's like cat shit. It's annoying, but it's not nearly as bad as the dog shit.
So it's above?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Dalton, I think, is just such an average, mediocre quarterback. But I don't know. I'm kind of feeling the Bengals. Even with Mixon potentially missing up to a month, I still feel like they are right in there at home, 1.5, win by a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Not that big of a deal for me.
Bengals -1.5.
All right, moving on. We got the Buffalo Bills visiting the New York Giants. An in-state game for them, so they don't have to travel far. But it is a road game for the Bills. Bills are favored by 2.5 points after beating the Jets last week.
Okay, so I'm seeing 1.5. Oh, man. We didn't think this one through.
Is it on Bovada right now? Is it 1.5?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Okay, well then see that the line has moved. It was Bills plus or -2.5, I believe, when I looked at it.
Here's the thing: Bills -1.5. I'm taking the Bills. Bills -2.5. I'd still probably take the Bills.
Okay, well this is great because I'm not taking the Bills either way. I'm taking the Giants. Giants are going to look to bounce back. They didn't give Barkley nearly enough touches last week. They're going to get him involved. I think they're better than the Bills. The Bills are trending in a better direction overall as a franchise.
Singletary looks good.
But I just think the Giants have a couple wins in them, and this is one of them. This is one of their winnable games on their slate.
I accidentally
win outright. I would take the money line. Tease it up all day, but I would take the money line if I had to. But give me the points. +1.5, +2.5, don't matter.
I was supposed to take the Giants week 1, and I accidentally didn't. And so Destiny tells me that I shouldn't bet on them until they beat me. So,
Bills I actually really respect that reasoning. That is one of the smarter things that I've ever heard you say.
Thank you.
Respect 1,000%, but you'll be on the Giants next week because they'll prove you wrong this week.
So be it.
The toughest game of the slate for me was Patriots visiting Miami. Patriots favored by 19 points.
Easy.
It's moving up. It was 19 this morning. It's 19.5 now when we're recording Tuesday night.
I think it was at 18.5 at one point.
It was at 18.5. That's where I saw it. But we'll say 19. We'll split the difference. What are your thoughts? Give me your thoughts on this.
This is another away team that I'm taking minus 19. Give me the Patriots. And I'm hesitant to do this because I think AB is just going to work like a little mole and kind of he's going to termite them. He's going to work his way in and just demolish them. But I think it's going to take a few weeks to do that. So Pats minus 19.
Well, did you hear the news that came out today about AB?
Yeah, he's
so
in a little bit of hot water.
He might get cut this week.
He's already started his kind of demolition. He's staying at Tom Brady's house.
If you haven't heard, just Google Antonio Brown, and one of the many stories will come up.
There is an alleged sexual offender staying at Tom Brady's house. I don't know about you guys, but that worries me a little bit. Now I'm counteracting my Patriots minus 19.
Is staying at Tom Brady's house? If not,
I actually
does your theory hold true still? But no, I'm taking the Dolphins plus 19. Let me tell you, this is a vacation for the Patriots. They're going to go down to Miami. They're going to lay out in the sun. They're going to get some tan. They're going to win the game, but they're not going to win by 19. So
is what you say.
Yeah. Give me 14, 17, 11, 12. Doesn't matter. They're going to spank the Dolphins, but I think that they're also going to use it as a mini bye week. Week 2, they're going to, lay out, have some rum and Coke on the beach. And
if Brian Flores comes out and if the Dolphins throw out the Wildcat, then I'll get nervous. But until I see that Wildcat, it's Patriots minus 19 for me all day.
This is actually the angle that should be thought about more. Does Bill just want to come out and smash Brian Flores in the face?
Yes.
Here, good luck in the future, but let me show you how it's done.
It may be 100-0.
And he wants to blow them out. The other thing that scares me immensely is, are they going to take this Antonio Brown news and just be like, it's us against the world? That's the last thing that the world wants. When it's the Patriots against the world. But that's the
Patriots mindset 24/7.
Win every time.
I have no idea why, but Patriots and their fans think that it's just, it's that 11-man team on the field versus the rest of the population of the world.
To me, this is not all games are made equal. Patriots hosting a Sunday night football season opener against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who they've kind of been in a rivalry with for a better part of a decade, if not more. They wanted to blow the doors off the Steelers and say, look, you can't sustain it as long as we can. That is a vendetta game for Tom Brady. This one, whatever. They're going to walk away a 14-point dub. With that being said, Dolphins cover. Moving on, we got Dallas Cowboys visiting the Washington team. We have the Cowboys favored by 5 points on the road. Give me your thoughts.
I'm addicted to these road teams this week. I'm taking Cowboys minus 5. There's no way, I said it earlier, there's no way that Washington repeats what they did against Philly, and they still lost. So, I'm taking Cowboys minus 5.
I am a huge believer in Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator of the Cowboys. He completely has turned around Dak Prescott's career. Not that it necessarily needed turning around, but I'm all in on the Cowboys minus 5 as well. One interesting thing to do is throw it in a teaser. And you can tease this game down to 1 point, where the Cowboys can get +1.
Make it essentially a pick-em. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be kind of what I would do if you. This is a game that I would 1,000% throw in a teaser just to kind of build that pot up for me. But Cowboys minus 5 all day. Next up, we got Minnesota Vikings visiting the Green Bay Packers. Packers are favored by 3. Give me your thoughts.
It didn't work for me week 1, but I will probably fade the Packers every single week. I'm going Minnesota plus 3. Plus, I think Minnesota's actually a decent team. They figured out that they just shouldn't let Kirk Cousins throw the ball. I think he had under 100 yards passing week 1. And that's perfectly fine with me, and I think it's perfectly fine with the Vikings. So I'm going plus 3.
Okay, this is great. See, I got you believing in the Vikings last week. I'm switching it up. I got Packers minus 3 at home.
Wow.
Rodgers is feeling himself. The Packers are looking good. You think they're going to be able to run the ball?
Tanner convinces me and then just fades me.
You think the Packers or the Vikings are going to be able to run the ball in that Packers defense? They look good. All right, they look good. They look fast. They look young. You're going to then force the ball into Kirk Cousins' hands because that's the only way to do it. And let me know how that goes, all right? But other than that, I got the Packers at home. Give me the Packers. -3. They're covering.
All right. Fair enough.
Next up, we got Seattle Seahawks traveling all the way across the country to visit the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers are favored by 4. I am actually on the Seahawks +4. I just think the Seahawks are a good football team. They're not a team that's necessarily going to compete for a Super Bowl, but they are a team that's going to be in the playoff hunt the entire year. The Steelers look like absolute garbage.
Dog shit.
Absolute garbage. They're going to want to rebound, and they absolutely can. But this is
not
team.
The game. Yeah, this is not where they're going to do it.
This is a tough team to do it because they want to grind it out. I'm not saying the Steelers can't win, but you're telling me that the Seahawks can lose by a field goal or win the game. I'm taking those odds.
And possibly no Juju. I mean, that's their number 2 weapon behind James Conner if you want to put him behind him. And if they don't have him, then they have no offense. And they showed that their defense, just fucking blows this year.
Is he supposed to be out?
Well, he's questionable.
Questionable?
Did something to his toe.
Juju's playing. They need him. If they don't have him, then I would just say, some of the lines you can wait on every week. I would get on the Seahawks line now.
+4, yeah. I don't think it's going to go any higher.
If, with the potential that Juju could be out. Because if Juju's out, this line becomes what? Hickam? Plus -1.5.
It definitely goes down. It's going to compress.
You're losing your edge. So get the edge while you can now. Jump in on the Seahawks now. Another game like the Patriots Dolphins, I would actually wait if you're going to bet the Dolphins. This line might be pushed up to 21.5.
I could see that
by kickoff.
No AB.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. I would wait on that one. Get the Seahawks now. We're both in on them, so we don't really need to go any further. I guess if you want to fade us, which is the smartest thing you could possibly do.
You would have gone 10-5 if you would have faded me.
Yeah. Well, you would have.
That's a great week.
Me. But, next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals visiting the red-hot Baltimore Ravens. Ravens at home favored by 13.5 points.
Give me the Cardinals. It worked out for me last week. For some of these teams that I just have no idea what they're going to do, I don't think the Ravens can do what they did last week. I'm just going to keep taking the team that won it for me, the previous week, and there was only 5 of them. So, I got to be doing something right with those 5. So, give me the Cardinals, plus 13.5.
You already know how this is going to go down for me.
Mm-hmm.
Fading the Cardinals all year long. There's no rhyme, no reason to it at all. Ravens by 2 touchdowns. Lock it in. Lamar, the GOAT, the God. Lamar Jackson is going to be amazing this week. Cardinals have no secondary. They can't cover tight ends. They're committing so much to the run, which is great against the Ravens, but it's going to leave Lamar Jackson open for some one-on-one attempts down the field.
Yeah.
And
this is one of those games where I'm like, why did I do that? But you know what?
But the line is so big that if I wasn't fading the Cardinals, I would be in on plus 13.5. Mm-hmm. But I have to fade the Cardinals because that's what we do. If you can tell me I'll fade them every week and they'll get a tie every week, 0-0 and 16, sign me up. Every day that ends in Y. Next up, we have the Kansas City Chiefs visiting the Oakland Raiders. We have the Chiefs favored by 9 points on the road. Raiders coming off a W on Monday Night Football, the last game of the last week's slate. So they're on a semi-shorter week. Mm-hmm. But they do get to be at home this week. You have Tyreek Hill out for the Chiefs, but you still have an electric offense that covered by 14 points last week against the Jags on the road.
I'm taking Chiefs. This is one of those wins where, I won it last week, and I'm just going to – this one actually kind of makes sense for me to do that. I'm going to stick with the Chiefs.
So you're going Chiefs -9?
Chiefs -9.
Great, because I'm going Raiders +9. All right.
They looked good.
There is something about the Raiders team.
They looked really good.
They have a unique collection of talent that I think is just a bunch of grinding veterans, a bunch of, athletic and hungry and football youngsters.
They kind of seem like the Chiefs if you downgraded them, by 20 points each in Madden. I mean, they have all the weapons in the world. I think, like you could argue.
I mean, I don't.
Josh Jacobs is kind of a Swiss Army knife. They got Darren Waller, tight end, who's going to be a weapon.
I don't see that comparison.
You're going to end up
really
having me talk myself out of the Chiefs, so I need to stop talking right now.
Yeah, well, I'm taking the Raiders. I think that Kansas City having to travel to Jacksonville the first week, then having to travel to Oakland the second week, coupled with them losing Tyreek Hill, their best offensive player. Not saying that they can't win the game, but I just think 9 points is too much. I think the Raiders' divisional game are going to keep it close. I think the Raiders are better than a lot of people think, honestly. So that's what it boils down to for me is you're going to be able to, just keep it close. Get Josh Jacobs involved and, lose the game by 8. We're differing a lot this week.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really bad for one of us, probably me.
Next up on the slate, Chicago Bears at the Denver Broncos. Bears favored by 3 on the road.
I should have done it last week. I'm team fade the Bears. Again, not for lack of confidence.
I love it. Because this is going to be a terrible week for you because smash the Bears on the road. They get a couple extra days of rest with playing on Thursday night. They want to look better than that. All right, they did not want to debut in front of the country.
Yeah, this is going to be a bad one. This is
all right.
I lost
it's
this
3
one.
Points. Like the Broncos just lost to the Raiders, who everyone thinks is trash.
And Vic Fangio wants to show that he's moved on from the Bears. Their defense looked terrible in week 1, but I mean,
yeah, but the Bears are going to be like, oh, see you, Vic Fangio. We're not doing anything you did last year, but we still have all of the great players that we have assembled. I would take the Bears -3 easy. I think they could win by 14. I'm surprised this line's at 3. I would put it at 6.5.
You're making me sad. I can't take the Bears.
Because if the Bears were at home, what would it be? 9.5 point spread?
I don't know.
Right? I mean, unless you're really fading the Bears that much, which, overreaction city is everyone in America. But, I mean, Bears -3 seems like my lock of the week. Like, I might put $20, $50 down on it. Who knows?
God, I hope you're right.
Because the Bears are not going to want to start 0-2. Because then their playoff chances become very slim.
We don't even talk about it. That's a big if.
Because one of the backers of the Vikings, so they play this week, is going to be 2-0. If the Broncos win this game, the Bears' playoff chances dwindle. I mean, it's 2 weeks, but you're giving 2 games behind the division leader.
You're giving me my Sunday scaries about 4 days early here.
The Lions have a tie as well. Like, that's going to be that's a weird division.
The Bears are in last place.
The Bears are in last place.
Oh, my God.
Welcome to your own personal hell. With that being said, I'm smashing the Bears for all the reasons I just said and many more. Bears are so good. Next up, Saints visiting the LA Rams.
Revenge game.
Revenge game?
Yeah.
So you're going Saints +2.5.
Sean Payton is going to come out and challenge the first pass interference. He's just going to throw it and just be like, fuck you, refs. We're going to take time on this incompletion. Wasn't even close. Besides the point, I'm going Saints +2.5 revenge game.
Short week, long travel across country to play an afternoon game. Doesn't really affect the bodies of the Saints as much as it would a West Coast team going east. But I'm going Rams -2.5. I think they can win by a field goal at home. They're a very good football team. They're going to get Gurley more involved this week. I have no rhyme or reason. I just have a feeling that the Rams are going to pull this game out. They're just kind of treading water. But with that being said, the McVay-Payton matchup this week is going to be incredible. It's going to be high scoring. Take the over. Whatever you do, take the over. I'm getting vibes of LA, KC last year in this game.
But that's the thing. I think this game is going to be decided by 2 or less points, either way.
Yeah, but when you're getting a team going up and down the field, all it takes is one turnover and then a touchdown, and boom, Rams are up by 7. And then if you get a turnover, Rams are up by 10 because they kick a field goal. Like, of course, nobody knows shit. Nobody knows anything. But give me the Rams at home. This is another game that I actually would wait on because I think that throughout the week, this line is going to shift more and more towards the Saints being a revenge game. Because everyone's going to think, oh, they're coming off this great Monday Night Football comeback. But that's an exhausting win.
So get it on the Saints plus 2.5 while it's hot. Come get them.
Exactly. Because I think this one could be close to a pick-em come Sunday. And at that point, I'm going to wait for the Rams to pick them. But what do I know? I don't know shit about fuck.
Same.
Next up, we have the Eagles at the Falcons. Eagles favored by 1.5 after barely squeaking out a W in week 1. Falcons also look like trash on the same side. Why is this a 1.5 point spread?
I have no idea. And I'm looking at it now. I took the Falcons, and I think this was just kind of, I closed my eyes and threw the dart.
Yeah, I think these are two very good teams, two very good football teams. And what it boils down to for me is in a primetime Sunday night matchup like they have, the Falcons do not want to start 0-2. They need this game more than the Eagles do. And I think it's going to be a very good football game. But with that being said, I'm taking the Falcons.
Taking the Falcons, plus 1.5.
Yeah, plus 1.5. I don't feel good about it.
So for the audience, the fact that Tanner and I both took Falcons plus 1.5, clear signal, take the Eagles.
Take the Eagles. I don't feel good about it.
I feel terrible about it.
I don't feel good about it. But, maybe this is us getting too cute. Should we go to the Eagles? If you go to the Eagles, I'm down to go to the Eagles.
Well, if we go to the Eagles, then Falcons are going to cover.
Well, then we just messed with the odds.
I'm sticking to my guns. I'm taking the Falcons. I'm not looking back. Is there something you want to say, Tanner?
I am not. I feel like I do this once a show. I can't keep making a habit of this. I got to stick to my picks, but let me look at my notes. Give me 1 second.
You haven't booked it yet.
I haven't booked it yet. Man. Take the Eagles. The problem is I think Matt Ryan is just going to go off this game home.
Did you see Mike Scott, the 76ers player, in the parking lot of the Redskins-Eagles game fighting Eagles fans because he was wearing a Redskins jersey?
Which team is that again?
Mike Scott on the 76ers.
Oh, Washington's team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
No, I did see that. I read my notes. I'm all in on the Falcons again. Fuck the Eagles. They have no secondary. Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, big game coming. If you can swing a trade for Julio Jones this week in fantasy, 1,000%
discount.
Do it. Because you might get a minor discount. You could swap them for, say, a Keenan Allen and some fab dollars or something. Maybe a Devin Singletary. Get Julio Jones. He's about to get, 150 plus yards, 8 or more catches, and at least 2 touchdowns. Take it to the bank. Bet the props. Falcons are shredding this Eagles secondary. I believe in the Falcons.
Wow.
Just had to go back to my notes. See, I got in the pod. I
love the confidence. That makes me feel better. I was feeling terrible about that game.
I'm back in. So, all right. Last game of the slate, we have the Browns.
Monday Night
Football. The Cleveland Browns, the disaster of last week, the biggest failure.
The game no one asked for.
Lock of the week last week. Tweeted out everything. Browns absolutely fell flat on their face. Baker Mayfield looked like trash. He's starting to give me Jameis Winston vibes with the amount of time he turns the ball over. He's a little bit too cocky, just like Winston was when he was young in the league.
The Phil Collins drum thing, the pregame, it's getting a little tired, Baker. You got to switch it up, especially after that game. You cannot do the fucking boom, 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 and then go out there and have the shit game you did.
Yeah.
So time to retire that one.
With that being said, Browns are favored by 3 in New York.
I just checked my notes. I'm taking the Browns.
We talked so much shit about the Browns, but I am also taking the Browns. Big bounce for Cleveland. Not to say that he isn't giving me, Jameis Winston vibes. I mean, he's giving me that guy where I'm not comfortable with him if I'm, if he's kind of my guy, I'm not that comfortable.
If I'm a Browns fan, I am nervous.
Yeah.
If I'm a Browns better.
Nervous optimism is the best way to put it because he could be electric. But we've labeled him a superstar, but he is not a superstar yet.
Right.
Do not expect superstar production, even though he has other superstars like Odell Beckham Jr., He's got Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb. He's going to get Kareem Hunt back, David Njoku. Like, they have a loaded team, but what they don't have is an offensive line. They do not have tackles. Do not expect the production from Baker Mayfield immediately this year. Just wait.
It's going to take a little bit.
Better.
It'll
It's
get
gonna
there.
Get better. But with that being said, I'm taking the Browns -3. They're just a better football team than the New York Jets right now. Sorry, Sammy. I love you, boy, but not today. Not Monday night. I apologize, buddy.
All right. There we have it. For those listening, fade me if you want a good week because I feel terrible about all these picks.
All right, let's jump back in. Let me recap mine. Mine are going to be, I have the Buccaneers +7 on Thursday night. I have the Chargers +3. I have the Titans -3. I have the Jags +9. I have the Bengals -1.5. I have the Giants +2.5. The Dolphins +19, but again, wait on that one because you might be able to squeak in a better line right before kickoff. I have the Cowboys -5, the Packers -3 at home. I have the Seahawks +4, the Ravens -13.5. Ton of points against the Cardinals, but you got to fade the Cardinals for now. That's just what I'm doing. Raiders +9, Bears -3, Rams -2.5. Again, wait on this one because it might be closer to a pick'em. And in every single point matters clearly, as you can see. Greg Zuerlein missing one field goal in last week's game cost us a win. Falcons +1.5. Monster game coming for Matty Ice. Monster game coming for Julio. Calvin Ridley's about to eat all day long. If you're for some reason in fantasy you need a flex starter, Sanu is not a terrible option just because the Eagles secondary is so bad. And then Monday Night Football, Browns -3. If you want to give us a rundown of yours.
Yes. Listen closely. I'm going to list 16.
Again, these are the ones that you're going, whatever he says, take the opposite unless it compares to mine, and then get on the wagon with us.
I'm going to list 16 NFL team names here, and they're all going to be winners without a doubt. I know I said that last week, but this, for everything I just said before, we're not looking back. So we're taking Panthers, Seahawks, Vikings, Patriots, Cowboys, Bengals, Chargers, Colts, Brissett believer, Cardinals, Bills, Jaguars, Chiefs, Broncos for obvious reasons, not for a lack of faith, Saints, Falcons, Browns. Is that a sign I should go Eagles?
Did you say Eagles?
On accident.
Go Eagles.
Falcons +1.5. Sticking to it.
All right. I was going to say, I'm not going back with you to the Eagles. So if you're going to Eagles, you're the only
I'm not
man
flying
walking
solo
across
on
the
that
plank
one.
on
No
that.
chance I'm flying solo on that one.
Oh, I'm thinking about going to you. No, I'm not. I'm going Falcons +1.5. I honestly do believe that it's going to be a great game. A lot of interesting matchups this week. And, week 2 of the NFL. NFL's awesome. NFL's great. NFL's back. We can gamble all of our money away. We saved up all summer long just for this, just to blow it all in these next 17 weeks.
Saved my pennies and dollars.
Yeah.
Just to lose it all.
So good luck to everyone this week.
Send your picks in.
Yeah, we might be tweeting out some college picks as well.
Follow us, Milev Sports,
week
Milev
1,
Gambling.
Electric for me. I think I had like an 11-3 record. Week 2,
not so
not
great.
so much. Gave a couple dollars back. But overall, up this year. We're on to next week.
We're on to next week.
We're on to next week.
No rearview mirrors around here.
These are the locks. All right, this is Tanner and Drew signing off with Mill Ave Moguls. Catch us again next week. All right, have a great week.